Welcome to Bitcoin for Peace. I have a fellow rock star with me here on the podcast who is a cypherpunk and somebody who I've looked up to since I started following you. And I actually got to meet you for 2 seconds at the Oslo Freedom Forum in Miami a couple years ago. And I've been following you ever since. Welcome, Uncle Rockstar.
Yeah, well, thank you. Glad to be here. Hope you continue following me. I don't know if you're coming to Oslo, this year or Prague, but yeah, I follow your work as well, and I really like what you're doing. One of the best things about Bitcoin is it's not just us developers that are contributing. Everyone is contributing in their own ways. So yeah, I hope our journey together continues from here, DJ.
Me Yeah, me too. This is just a beginning. Do you wanna share with people who are listening who may not know who you are and what you've done? Like, who is Uncle Rockstar Developer, and what's your big mission on planet Earth here with Bitcoin?
Well, mission is not that big. It's simple. It's just serve Bitcoin, contribute to Bitcoin, and the whole rockstar identity that I have is it's created to be there for Bitcoin. Started 2017. Before that, I've been regular developer, right? Not a rockstar developer. I've contributed to like a lot of startups because ever since I immigrated to US, I've been doing startups. I've had numerous identities in Bitcoin. Whenever I open a new Bitcoin Talk or Reddit account, it was like a different account. But then in 2017, during block size wars, I was just sick of arguing with people on Reddit and online. So I wanted to be more productive with my contributions to Bitcoin, which is when I joined Nicholas Dorier on BTC Pay server and did that for a couple of years. Helped Nicholas build up a project. Then Jack Mallers asked me to join him and do the same thing for him that I did for Nicholas. I joined. Uh, the app that he did, Zap, really became Strike. So I've coded the whole back end of Strike.
Whoa.
Then been VP of engineering there 4 years, and last year I left the company, and now I'm mostly just contributing back to Bitcoin like any way possible, mostly through FOSS efforts. And that's me. That's what I'm doing.
I love it. And can you tell the audience if they're not familiar, what's FOSS?
So FOSS stands for free and open source software. And it's this approach to software where instead of closed source, like we all keep our cards close to our chest and to ourselves,
Mhm.
we create software that's open source and that anyone can look at the source code, compile the program for themselves. And it's really the way that I think most of the software development will go towards. Some type of software can only be open source. Like if Bitcoin was closed source, would you use it? Like no.
Mm.
This way you can download source code, see it for yourself, compile it, run it for yourself. So and FOSS movement is extremely important because it also allows you to easily work with other people around the world. You don't need to sign a bunch of contracts and let HR and political people and bureaucracy direct your efforts, but rather it's what I did with Nicholas. He's developing something cool, doing it on his own. I know how to develop in C sharp, so I joined him and we just start working together on GitHub, which is where most of the open source software is hosted.
And can you tell everybody about, what is BTC Pay Server and why is it so important? I saw it, I got to be a juror at the Bitcoin Film Festival, and um, My Trust in You is Broken was a great film. And could you tell everybody about that? And let's share why it's so important.
Yeah, and this is maybe I can even do this. And
Yeah.
now
Okay.
suddenly,
Hold on. Let's get you. Wait, wrong one. Hold on.
the wrong one.
There you
Oh,
go.
see,
Look at
this
you.
this is one of the reasons why I really like you. You like make yourself smaller to make other people bigger. I mean,
Yes, baby.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, we're here just focusing on the fact that it's easier to show BTC Pay server. So yeah, not about our egos, but about being practical.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, BTC Pay server really is project that's trying to make accepting Bitcoin easy for anyone, and there are all these different problems with accepting Bitcoin because when people accept Bitcoin, they usually want it at certain fiat rate still. We haven't arrived to hyper Bitcoinization. So there is that, and then they want like reports. They want invoices, and BTC Pay server as a really comprehensive solution allows that to everyone. And then there is the fact that when you run BTC Pay server, you're not only running BTC Pay, but you're running Bitcoin Core node, the best version of it, which is economic node, a Bitcoin Core node where you validate every transaction and ensure that what you're being sent is Bitcoin uh, under your consensus terms. And BTC Pay server really started as a reaction to what BitPay was trying to do
Mhm.
with switching everyone to Segwit 2x. Uh, and Nicholas was not having any of it. So that's where his famous tweet that, like, this is lies. My trust in you is broken. I will make you obsolete originates. And yeah, maybe that's the best way to explain it. Imagine BitPay that you can self host and then accept Bitcoin payments with zero fees and no third party.
And so for folks who haven't, seen this, is this like how many folks are using BTC Pay Server out there right now? Can you
Well,
like
that's one of the best things about BTC Pay servers because any software that you're using nowadays is tracking you and sending that information to like some central location where whoever created that software will then use their that information for their benefit, not
Mhm.
necessarily to like hurt you, but they just want to get ahead. With BTC Pay server, we really don't know, but we have these different ways to guess. And yeah, I mean, I would say that, and this is my personal take from talking with everyone that uses BTC Pay server. I would be very confident to say that like more than $1 million daily are processed over BTC Pay server instances. Maybe even, well, I would say maybe even 10, but let's stay humble. Let's say, yeah, the over $1 million worth of volume is processed through these BTC Pay server instances that are all over the world.
And so, like, with what's been going on, obviously, with Samurai and Tornado Cash just happened, like, how does BTC Pay Server fit into this conversation with privacy and with people being able to, transfer their own value and hold their own value? With
Yeah, well, the way that it influences, huh? Doesn't influence that much because we already went through this when Alex Jones shilled BTC Pay server back in 2018. I mean, that was quite a moment when I saw BTC Pay server there. It's more how do we as individual developers approach it because BTC Pay server is a collection of individuals that are coming together as a team, and it's really like the big difference also with Samurai and Wasabi is like we're not running any central instance. We're just supplying code, and then people can run their own instances. So yeah, it's different situation now. As are you asking basically, do we as a developers feel pressure
Yeah, I
from?
guess my concern, obviously, there's a lot of people, you know, leaving the United States and the wallets are leaving and people are I think getting, scared of these stupid governments who don't want us to have privacy, who don't want us to have self-custody, who are, wanting to track our every tiny little move and, thinking about, code as, for First Amendment, it's like, is code free speech? Is financial privacy a right? And so I'm just curious, like, what's your take on this, and how do we protect the devs?
Well, I no, let me bring up back my screen because
Okay.
what I love about this is more cypherpunk talk
Mm-hmm.
because I can increase it. And what you're saying about these governments, the problem is that information is so addictive, and this is, yeah, one of the things that cypherpunks really identified, is that it's all about you controlling information and information not controlling you.
Mm.
And what's happening with people that are in these like positions of power in governments is that they are they're like in way more trouble than they should be, right? So they're responding to that from place of fear and control. And I gave all these promises. Now I need to deliver on these promises, and I need to get reelected. Otherwise, my my life will be not the way I want it to be. It's
And
all to me a signal that we need a better system. Which it's not that like these people they don't know what they're doing, and the only way forward for me is just we keep building these decentralized systems like Bitcoin is. Um, we keep trying to be productive, because like as a developer, but also as a developer, if you feel way too much pressure, then it's productive for you to function every day. Like find another setting, like search for help, reach out to uncle in Bitcoin uncle, and I'll try to talk and see where we are and give you advice what to do. Because again, for me, I was mentioning Alex Jones. It was funny to contribute to BTC Pay server and then see that he is shilling BTC Pay server when the gun debate is in really at its peak. And I've had moments of self reflection where I'm like, well, can this be used against me? Can Well, probably can, but this is also why I have a dedicated NIM for Bitcoin. If it
mhm.
ever gets too hot, Bitcoin took care of me thanks to my contribution. So I'll just leave and deal with the fallout the best I can. I that's all you can do. So yeah, those are my random thoughts on it. I don't know if you want to go deeper in any direction.
Well, I would love to go a little bit. I think a lot of people, in my audience are, they're not developers. They're more, artists, creatives, healers, activists, people who are mission driven and mission oriented folks. However, they don't really understand a couple different things that I think are critical to building this new world. One is obviously sound money. Two is privacy. And, a
Mhm.
lot of folks, when the minute you say, oh, privacy, I don't have anything to hide, that's the typical thing that a lot of folks say. Um, they don't understand how authoritarian regimes work. They don't understand how, blackmail works and manipulation and, behavior control for large populations. And so, can you talk a little bit about how Bitcoin solves that, and why? I mean, it's so people think like, oh, I don't have anything to hide with my transactions, or I don't have,
Yeah.
I'm an open book, da 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 da. And it's just like, well, who's in charge this, you know, term in office? Because what if all of a sudden the laws change and they don't like the fact that you eat meat, and then they're going to shut you down, or whatever
Yeah.
it might be, obviously.
Well, I mean, it's already happened in Canada, right? With that legislation where they can retroactively go 5 to 10 years and just like, oh, you're a bad person,
Right.
you should be punished. I mean, one thing I would always bring up to people is like privacy is a human right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are surprised by that. They're like, no, it's not. And you're like, yes, it is. Like, look at the UN Charter. Privacy actually is a human right. So if you want to preserve your privacy, you're not paranoid or insane or whatnot. You're just likely more conscious about stuff that other people are not conscious. And it's a tricky balance with artists, because you can't really be an artist. Well, you can be an artist and be private, but your work is going to be discovered, 100 years after you're dead or something. you know, and if you're like an artist, and there are masked artists that are preserving their privacy.
Mhm.
What's the Daft Punk comes to mind.
Mhm.
Uh, so especially then as an artist, one thing is you want to deliver your performances in certain way. So
Mhm.
and the closer you are to your personal truth, the better artist you will be. So do not let others smother you into, because I brought am bringing up this tweet of mine that I tweeted yesterday. Um, like one of the biggest motivations that I have to continue being with like Bitcoin uncle rockstar developer and all of that is because it's so easy to filter the people that are, not good people. And when I say not good people, I mostly mean people that would more focus on others than themselves. Like they would force others to do things, and they judge you, they judge other people. Yeah, you don't want to be around those people. So me being rock star, it's super easy to see who says it, you know, in a way that doesn't mean anything to them, or someone that says it in a way that they respect my identity and choice, versus who are the people that are like, oh, rock star, oh my god, like what's your real name? Like they're so programmed by governments that it's like it's not a real name, it's legal name. I always tell people. But that would be my biggest message to everyone, to keep in mind, because also one thing you should always be conscious of is privacy can only be lost. Like it can't be regained. And
Yeah.
the
Oh.
yeah, the only thing you can do is have an identity. You do things in that identity, and you can kill off identity and go with the new identity that in an environment no one knows you. So you start a new identity. Um, but most people shouldn't do that. It's just you should structure your identity for this clown world we're living in, where you're forced to be so many people. You're forced to be, like on your work, you're forced to be, professional person. In your church,
Mhm.
you're another person. If you're like a mother, a sister, uh, podcaster, and it's super hard because all those different identities place different demands on you. And then
Mhm.
there are these bad people that will, you make a slightest mistake, they are going to bring up that 10 years later and use it to control you. So be conscious of your privacy. And then you also ask, how does Bitcoin play into that? Can we use profanity on this?
Absolutely.
Oh, no, no, now I'm self-conscious. Well, Bitcoin is fu money, so yeah, anyone that doesn't, yeah, like you, whatnot, you can always fall back to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is really a shield. So maybe I should get that tweet up.
Yeah, and Bitcoin definitely is a shield. I think a couple things, like I love you bringing up identity, and I think about I wanna ask you this because obviously we feel there's a lot of tribalism on Earth. There's tribalism within businesses, on social media, within everything. Oh, look, you're bringing this up right now. It's perfect. Like, I think about if we attach ourselves to XYZ identity, whether it's an individual identity or I'm a woman or I'm a this or I'm a that or whatever, it does start to create, separate, you know,
Yes.
um, areas that people like conflict in instead of more of a unifying consciousness and a unifying way that like we're all humans, we're all here on earth, we all, if, rip our skin off and we all have the same blood, that's underneath and we all breathe the same air, but because of survival mechanisms and instincts that we're born with, we have these things where it's like us versus them. There's threats, and then
Yeah.
organize and self-organize in ways that you think are going to protect you from the other versus elevating our consciousness to a different place where it's like, nope, we're all one, we're all made up of atoms, we're all, everything. And so,
Well,
yeah, I'm just
we
curious, like,
we were one. I mean, now I guess we should change this from, yeah, Bitcoin for peace into, figuring out the secrets of universe with, DJ Valerie and Rockstar. Yeah.
I love it.
No, I can actually tell you about that. It's very simple. Like, we were one, but
Yeah.
now we are many. And the real problem is that on one side, universe has a plan for you. Like, the
Yeah.
universe has a plan for everyone. The problem is ego and this identification with one of many that you are now. So
Mhm.
what happens with vast majority of people, especially those that haven't reached the threshold of enlightenment, um, like, or they're nowhere near it, or maybe they're hurt, maybe they have something to prove. What happens with those people is they create all kinds of schemes. Like,
Yeah.
everyone creates schemes. The the thing is, their schemes are so inferior to what they would get if they were not scheming, if they were just going with the flow, trying their best. You know, you make a mistake, you hurt someone, you say you're sorry, you'll try better. You don't even need to fix it. You just need to try to be better. That's all. But no, people get stuck with their little plans, and then it's a perpetual perpetual motion of just like injury after injury after injury. People should stop doing that. And then tribalism,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, we all have a need. We're programmed to be part of something greater
Yeah.
than ourselves. And if you are joining team A and you need to fight team B, it can be NBA playoffs. The
Totally.
Nuggets, yeah, Nuggets are playing Timberwolves now, and my countryman Joker is, yeah, killing them there. But it's creating value, it's creating entertainment. People are liking it. So, oh my god, yeah, there were some good tweets. But yeah, this is pretty funny because, yeah, it's all of them training, and then Joker is training in Serbia. Yeah, yeah, like riding horse.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
and the point is, uh, go towards enlightenment, and then don't get too frustrated by all the people that are sabotaging you, because
Yeah.
only you can really sabotage yourself, especially if you focus on payback, or you're gonna change this person into better version of like what you see that person can be. It was no, focus on yourself. And then if someone asks you, hey, do this for me, then you're like, okay, or tell them no. But if you're like, okay, do it, then do it out of goodness of your heart. It always pays back. So
And I think, I love talking about this with you. I remember a while back, I don't remember your exact post, but you had posted something that you were going through, a kind of a
mhm.
difficult spot, and you were commenting on the people that were supporting you, and being really, loving and caring. And what have you found in our community, in the Bitcoin community, compared to, you said, you went from being a regular developer to a rockstar developer, like previous to Bitcoin and previous to being involved in this, this revolution. Like, what was, let's compare the two for you.
Well, I I s- I can maybe find that tweet so people see it, but I've contributed to Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin has contributed to, me, making me more than I was.
Mhm.
I mean, Bitcoin got me connected with you. Yeah. So that's a big thing. Like, you're not someone that's easy to have in, someone's life, and then the way you support me and uh, do good, and good my way, that's valuable. So it's something I spoke about when I was on stage in BTC Prague last year.
Okay.
Is that the more you contribute to Bitcoin, the more Bitcoin will contribute to you. And I would really encourage everyone to embrace that. And mm, yeah, it's basically Bitcoin as a truth machine will help you realize truths about yourself that will make you better. Because at the end of the day, this life is all about just learning what is the unique truth that you need to manifest, and then you manifest it, and that's it. End of life. If you're still alive, you go and retire. So there is that.
Oh my god, retirement. I think people who are on a mission and people who are, passionate about something and leaving a trace, um, it's like you can't ever retire. You're just constantly like evolving and growing and wanting to be a part of this dance called life, So I think being in the space, I can't ever imagine, doing anything else, than keeping, growing and sharing and uplifting and connecting with each other. I think it's super powerful. Tell us about this, the open source story that you're showing here.
Yeah, well, this talk of mine in Prague last year was essentially me talking about how Bitcoin made me better. And any of your, like, well, our listeners now
Yay!
can go, yeah, and find this talk. It's on YouTube. And if they have any questions, it's super easy to find me on Twitter. You can reference the talk and ask me questions. I'll be glad to respond.
Awesome.
Um,
What's
so
been the biggest, like, just from this, whether it's from this talk or just in general, like, what's been the biggest thing that you've struggled with that you think Bitcoin, has contributed to your personal development as a human?
oh my god, I mean, there is so much.
Mm.
I um One thing I always bring up is Bitcoin has changed me from being thinking I'm introverted while like I'm actually extrovert. So I I just it's just that I had a hard childhood and young adult years that I was, bullied way too much by people that I shouldn't have been, and they pummeled me into this version of me that's trying to stay safe.
Mhm.
And Bitcoin, the way it empowers me now, and the network that it gives me, that I feel extremely safe. I mean, actually feel too safe. What it has given me is just ability to fully express myself and live. And I found out that it's just I love people. Even if you hurt me, if it was not intentional or malicious, it's like, okay, game on. Did you have fun? If other person had fun, they're like, oh, I had fun. Sorry I hurt you. Okay, let's go. Because it's all about generating energy together. And then that's personal. As for professional, I've always been great developer. I say that very humbly, obviously, and no, but if you find my profile on Stack Overflow, you'll see I'm like 2%, top 2% mm, developers from the perspective of answering questions, building reputation. So I've always been a good developer, but Bitcoin through the last 7 years has just allowed me to reach the levels of professional accomplishment I never could have reached. With BTC Pay Server, when you have a open source project that's that public and that's that successful, it leads you on podcasts like this one, where you have your Twitter handle in a lower left corner, you're promoted. It's beautiful. And then with Strike, I yeah, coding something that just is that well known, and then getting to the point to be a VP of engineering for that hires like 80 people. How could have I done that without Bitcoin? It's just not not happening without Bitcoin. So, and then from there, impacting as many people I have impacted, yeah, it's just amazing. So, a lot of ways Bitcoin has built me up.
It's so amazing. Like, did you ever imagine that this is going to be part of the discovery on your journey as a developer? Like, how did you start, when did you start getting into being a developer and a coder? And, you said you've switched over, was it 2017, 2018,
Yeah,
um,
2017.
2017. And, you know, did you ever, did you think like, yeah, I'm going to go meet, friends and people and all this great stuff and turn into the best version of myself because I'm writing code?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was dreaming about being on a podcast with DJ Valerie B Love, but yeah, that was yeah, I was like, there is no way
Yes,
I
I
will
love it. I was dreaming that
accomplish.
too. We
No,
had the same dream.
I no, I'm honestly, if I was mentioning my young adult years, I've struggled a lot uh,
Yeah.
because I grew up in hyperinflation, and I was watching all these amazing things on TV, with these rich people living great lives, and here I am struggling out of university, and I will be successful, but will I ever be able to afford, going to Maldives or some crap like that? But I
Right.
yeah, but I was like, what was also the point of me growing up of in hyperinflation? But then Bitcoin happened, and suddenly it turned out I have amazing practical experience with why separating money and state should happen. And I've then still struggled because I could have created rockstar identity back in 2012, but I kept doubting that it's happening until I saw that politicians are buying Bitcoin, and then in U.S. Senate, as soon as I go, they have Bitcoin, so they're gonna protect it. And then again, 2017, just growing tired from arguing with people during block size wars because people that were my friends were suddenly declared to be enemies,
Mm.
and you would talk with them and they would be different. They would come from place of fear, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this. Let me just do something more productive. So from there, I mean, you can say I had a plan. I knew BTC Pay Server will be successful because a lot of startups I've done, I know how to recognize great startup founder.
Mm.
And yeah, because people come and tell me like, "Oh, Rockstar, you were so lucky, you like Nicholas and then Jack Mallers." I explained that they were the lucky ones having me as a supporter. But no, it's like I know how to recognize someone that is going to grow. And yeah, I basically all I wanted was to join their journey and see where it takes. So yeah, there wasn't some kind of grand plan. I couldn't predict that much in the future, but that's what I'm encouraging everyone is just find the right setting where you like people and those people like you. See that it's place of trust, so you don't need to scheme against each other or like little schemes and make it transactional, like, oh, I'll give you $1 and now you need to give dollar back to me. It's like, no, if you don't like this person to the point where you'll give them like $10,000, uh don't do it. Like, find a person you would, or find a person that will give you whatever is the amount of money that you can afford, and it's like significant. So yeah,
It's
that's
amazing. I keep hearing a general theme in you know, your post, your conversation here today is just about like finding your own inner truth and really living through that and not allowing others to distort, manipulate that out of fear. And I think that's such a huge thing for all of us to really embrace. And a lot of us, because of that desire to belong, that survival instinct to belong, we sometimes sacrifice our authenticity, and we cave in to fitting in and conforming. And, now we're all these distorted versions of ourselves walking around, but it's like, nope, that's not actually me. That's just me trying to fit into this weird little screwed up system. Um, do you have people in your life that are still, um, like your loved ones or anybody? You don't have, obviously, you don't, we don't have to dox anybody, but just, are there people who just haven't gotten on the board, on the train, on the Bitcoin train, and understanding the truth and freedom and privacy, and you have
Yeah,
comfort?
well, that's one of the best things about having separate identity for Bitcoin. I
Mm,
don't need them to get on board. They can just be themselves. I again think that's where dedicated identities for certain parts of your life are extremely useful,
hmm,
because that's the only way you can scale to having relationships with um, increasing number of people, the way we are all forced by this digital society, like, to have way more connections
yeah,
than people used to have. And on one side it's a great thing, because how would I be on, DJV's podcast if we didn't meet? But then on the other side, it's a relationship needs uh, trust, it needs respect, it needs purpose.
yeah,
And having an identity again in like Bitcoin, for me, it's rejuvenating. Once I'm not doing Bitcoin, like, I, take off hat, take off mask, back to private life that I can set up in a way that information will not control me. I control information. And I that's why I recommend to everyone is just the closer, like, it's a journey. That's the thing, is like, you're like, hey, I want to be in a place of trust and love, and where I can manifest my inner truth, right? 100%. It's like, okay, imagine you got that when you were like 5 years old. It-
yeah.
it's super boring. You should, the whole life purpose of life is to, like, get to that place. And then if you need to leave some people behind, what you were insinuating, create an amazing party, like, say goodbye, make it clear to those people that, like, you're moving on, or maybe they moved on, so you need to let them go. So, because there will be this circle of relationships you're in the middle of, and big part of life is also not figuring out who you can connect with, but what are the connections you cannot live without.
Mm. I love that. What are the connections you cannot live without? I It's so important, and it's so true. Like, we think about, in the old days, in analog days, when we actually met people in person a lot more, and before we had this, digital playground, we didn't have these giant circles of 100 people, 1,000 people,
Yep.
five, whatever it is, right? It's overwhelming for our brains to think about all of these connections. And I think a lot of times, the consciousness of the throwaway society right now, since, we've got everything's disposable and plastic and
Yep.
da 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 da, we don't. I think the younger generations are getting indoctrinated into this throwaway culture, in this throwaway mindset, in this cheap and more and more and more and more, versus like deep quality opportunities, whether it's, consuming a piece of content, a friendship that you get deeper into, a certain product that maybe instead of buying 20 of these cheap things, you're going to save up for a while and get one high quality. Because we've got this time preference that's, different, you know, a high time preference versus a low time preference. And so I think the consciousness of Bitcoin definitely changes our consumption model and our relational model, you
It
know.
it does, and this is where I can reference, yeah, my good friend Marty Bent.
Yay, Marty's the bomb.
Yeah, and he says our good friend the Rockstar Dev has highlighted very important term. Yeah, high velocity trash economy. I
Yeah.
think that's
There you
that's
go.
where we're. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's, buy a new iPhone. It's been a year. The
totally.
the thing is, there is a reason why it's like that, because we all need to be more, and we
Hmm.
all navigate towards being more. On the other hand, the problem is that it's been weaponized, and it's
Yeah.
getting to the point where it's a infinite growth, right? That's a cancer, methodology and approach. A cancer grows infinitely,
Oh, yeah.
and that's where these governments that are still connected to a money printer, they're not interested in solving the problems that matter.
Mm-mm.
They These people are lost. So we should take that money printer away from them and switch to Bitcoin as the hardest money that we as humanity have invented. Money based on energy
Yeah.
as directly as we can make it right now. Maybe we come up with another iteration in 100 years or 200 years. But it's quite obvious that with Bitcoin, we're going to solve a lot of problems because right now, I don't want to participate in wars, but I
Mhm.
am living in US, so and I'm paying taxes, of course. Yeah, hello IRS. So I'm paying taxes, and those taxes are then ending up in financing missiles on like one end and missiles on another end, and
Yeah.
there is nothing I can do about it because it's a money I don't control, and it's okay I don't control it. I don't want these people that think war is a solution to control that money either.
Mm-mm.
So
Let's
yeah.
talk about that. Obviously, this podcast is called Bitcoin for Peace, and I believe, you know, it's a tool, and we have a lot of tools out there to create a more peaceful world within our own individual selves, and obviously within our families, within our communities, and within nations. And I grew up always thinking, oh, if we just have, everybody meditates, we could have a peaceful world and la la la, it's going to be all peace, love, and granola. And, um, I'm a big fan. I'm a Deadhead and John Lennon and Bob Marley, everything. Let's go, grow peace. But I really, once I started understanding money and what sound money is versus fiat, which was only 3 years ago. I'm an entrepreneur and a business person, and I worked at Deloitte and started a couple of different companies with my ex-husband that were one's a hedge fund and one was a real estate investment company. And never
Nice.
did it even occur to me. And so most people don't know that about me, that I'm actually a nerd and businessy person. They just think I wear glitter all the time, which is much more fun. Um, um,
Yeah,
but
yeah, they need to fit you into a box.
I know,
Don't
right? And whatever, go for it. It won't happen because I'm like the wind, more like fire, I guess. But um,
are this is this where I ask your sign? So we go into astrology?
we can go there. Yeah, guys. What
Mhm.
do you think my sign is, Rockstar?
I mean, must be some air sign.
You think I'm an air sign, or do you think I'm
Yeah.
a fire sign, or an earth, or water? What do you think?
Well, it's either air or fire.
It's the second one for sure.
Oh, fire. Oh my god. Okay, I'm not playing with fire. I mean, we need to wrap up this podcast with this thought. Yeah.
This interview is concluded.
This, yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
No, I'm like all crazy fire. Um,
So
but
you were
but
talking, yeah, about
Oh, peace. We're talking about peace. Yeah, let's go
yeah.
back to peace. A lot of people, because we think about Bitcoin obviously as a freedom technology and it's a freedom tool, but still, once you have freedom, great. Now, what do you do with it? And what's the point of having freedom? The point of having freedom is so that you can have peace, right? And so I think, we're
Mm,
never going to live in this neutral, equal, everything's peaceful, la, la, la. We're going to have conflict, we're going to have ups and downs, but it doesn't mean we need to have violence. And I think
mm.
this
I
money
mean,
system perpetuates violence. It perpetuates the ability, like you have said, like we can go print money or we can tax and do whatever and go make bombs,
w
um, and create
well,
forever wars like Alex Gladstein talks about. It's not just about
yeah.
war, it's about these forever wars that the money printer gives governments the ability to do. um, so how
Well,
can Bitcoin be a tool for peace, do you think?
I'm very easily. It's such a tool of individual empowerment, and I'm glad I got this graphic back on because it describes it really well. How Bitcoin is a shield that you can use to defend your individual freedom and really defend your peace because
Yeah.
peace. Yeah, I wouldn't say that peace is the goal. If you want to be individually peaceful, you can just depart this planet. you know, like there is a value in conflict, but what you say, it needs to be um productive conflict. That's
Yeah,
how it is, because that's the way we grow, through friction, through, but you don't grow when someone is just so much stronger than you and just bullies you into a version that they want, you
exactly.
to be. It's more, again, it's a dance, it's a competition. It's is it did we agree to play between these two baskets with this ball under these rules for next 48 minutes? Yes, we did. Okay, let's, within those rules, let's, mm, fight each other, let's have a war, but knowing that it will make us better, and that it will create more value than it was put in. So I would say, yeah, Bitcoin, the way that Bitcoin uh, helps a lot there is it takes out these psychopaths that are just great at conflict. Because what everyone needs to keep in mind is, when you say, like, okay, freedom, these people that are psychopaths, that are aggressive, that are disagreeable, their freedom is freedom to choose violence.
Yeah.
And we need to create environments in which they can exercise that violence. And for most of the psychopaths, it's called presidential elections,
Mm,
where they play within the certain framework of rules, and they get to express their dominance and whatever they're fascinated with. And then, one of the psychopaths wins. For And it's good that they win, because if you didn't give them this framework, they would just be organizing like street gangs and figuring out a way to oppress others because they know better. So, absolutely, to me, Bitcoin creates way better framework, and allows you to defend your individual rights. So it will help us achieve more peace than this current system, where, yeah, politicians can just come together and decide to print more money to
yeah.
fix problems.
Yeah. Well, and you named it really, earlier talking about bullying, right? And I think about, obviously, a lot of us grow up. Um, I was bullied in, middle school and high school. I lived in Arizona, and there were gangs there, and I was a
Yeah.
white girl, and I got bullied a lot, and I got threatened with knives, and I was all the stuff, and I was super
They
scared.
wanted to control you, yeah?
Yeah, because they were being controlled somewhere else, right? And I ended up,
Well,
yeah,
they desired control over you for, yeah.
yeah, to try to make up for the lack of internal control based on whatever was going on in their life. And I remember this girl, um, Jenny McCormick was her name, and I don't remember a lot of things,
Awesome.
but I remember her, and she tormented me for 2, almost 3 years. And I remember one day I was finally, I had enough courage, and I was just like, "Okay, fine, come out and beat me up," and I called her out into the hallway of the school, and it was, during class, so that nobody was in the hallway. So I was like, "Get a hall pass and come out," and she came out, and I just looked at her. I was like, "Here I am, beat me up. Like, you want to fight? Let's go." And I was only, 14, 15 at the time. And she was just like, "Screw you." Blah, blah. And I was just like, "No, like, you have been making my life absolute hell for these couple years with you and your friends. And here you go, take your shot." And of course she did. And we ended up getting in a fight. And I'm not a violent person, obviously, but I was just so filled with anxiety, and I was sick of being bullied. Um, we fought. I punched her, and I got her down on the floor. I was holding her hair, and I was like, "Are we done?" Because, like, I could have kicked her with my knee in her face, and of course, and I never wanted to hurt somebody. And she just looked up at me, and she, because I punched her, she had a bloody nose. Um, she was like, "Yeah, we're done." And I'm like, "All right, let's go to the bathroom, and I'll help you get cleaned up." And so we were in the bathroom, and I asked her, I was like, "I don't even know you. Like, I've never even met you. Why do you hate me?" Um, and she was just like, "I'm in this gang, and my stepdad beats me up at home, and it's all," she's just broke down and started crying, and it was so sad, because you could just tell all she's trying to do is have an escape hatch for all of that pain and torment that she was receiving from her family, from these people that were her peers. And she felt like she needed to take it out on someone else, and obviously keep that cycle of of pain and bullying going. And I was just like, you don't, I'm so sorry, that you're dealing with this as a person, but like, let's be friends. Like, I'll be your friend, and you don't have to bully me anymore, be scared, but I'll be here to talk to you, if you want a friend. And so it was just such a and it just made me realize, like, wow, you never know what's going on in other bullies' minds and in their hearts. And it's just like, most of the time bullies are being so bullied in their own life that that's what they do, is they go find somebody, that they perceive as weaker, and try to take out all of that pain because it's overflowing, and I think until we as humans can start to figure out, like, how can we let go of that anger and that pain in a safe way, we're going to keep that cycle of violence going, in perpetuity and at scale, right? And that's what's happening when we see these systems, perpetuating, systemic violence on the communities at large. So I'm hoping that, even though Bitcoin is a tool for peace, we still have to have the inner power and strength and fortitude to heal and allow those things to be released safely, so that we don't cause more harm than good, on earth. Our one trip here, um, as our own selves. I don't know what happens. Maybe we come back a million thousand times, but I know that I'm only Val once, and I don't
Maybe.
want to, be a jerk.
Yeah, well, congrats on stopping the pain, V.
Yeah.
So, great
Well,
job.
and you
Great
too,
story.
like, it sounds like you were bullied, you said, and it's like, look at all the good you're doing, and the way that you definitely are out there spreading a lot of love and a lot of positivity.
Well, uh, again, I'm very lucky. I've learned the ways to flow, and all I want is to see others flowing as as much as they want to flow, not get blocked and not get trapped in cycles of pain, as you described it so well. And a great story, V. I mean, I'm I'm now tempted to even like switch the roles, and you can put yourself on screen. I'll be the interviewer or
Okay,
something.
cool. Here.
Yeah,
Here, we'll just
yeah,
share screen. How's that?
yeah.
We can be
Let's do it.
together. Um
Let's go.
I know. It's seriously, though, we think about, we don't know what's going on under the hood in so many other people's lives, and we cast judgment, and, you know, it's obviously just a human nature thing. But once we have awareness around it, it's like, okay, now I can kind of go to the next level, hopefully, of becoming a better version of myself. I mean, I don't know. It's important that we all, have that awareness, I think. And so what do you say to new people, and I know we're at an hour right now, so do you have a couple more minutes to chat? I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah, let's we can wrap it up with some kind of message and a summary. And you were trying to do just that, right?
Well, what I was, people out there, like, I'm obviously not a coder and a
Mhm.
developer. um Somebody, how would somebody who might be new to Bitcoin get involved in becoming a developer, or, learning, like,
Okay. Yeah.
what's the best way for them to kind of get involved?
Yeah. Well, number one, yeah. Whenever someone asks you about whether they should buy Bitcoin, the answer is no, you shouldn't. It's a scam. So yeah, keep them out. Keep those sats cheap. Yeah, I need to look at where Bitcoin is so I can get more into MicroStrategy. We didn't even cover my MicroStrategy tweets. That was hilarious. Viewers will need and listeners will need to
Do
search
you
for
wanna
that.
pull it up? You can pull it up. I
Oh
have time. It's
no,
your call.
yeah, I'm not going into that. As for you go over that hump of, oh, you're going to make money on Bitcoin, because another also thing most people should realize, well, all people should realize is, you don't make money on Bitcoin really makes its money on you. You become a node, and then you are harnessed to do some things for Bitcoin, but you get so much more in return. So that's why you should do it. And this is where you need to be honest with yourself is, let's say you're 30-year-old that never programmed. um, you shouldn't learn to code, There is something you have survived those 30 years somehow, and that's what you should focus on. You're an artist. Beautiful. Look up Fractal Encrypt. Look up Maddox. Yeah, look up great. Look up DJ Valerie Love. Hey, you look at all these artists we have in Bitcoin, Tomer,
Yes.
and see which type of art is closest to your art, and then come to a conference where these people are also attending and talk with them. Maybe they need help on something, or maybe they don't need help. They just want to talk. And talking with them will inspire you. It will fine tune your inner truth with their truth. And you can see what is the project where you can contribute. And it can be as simple as your AI designer, like you use AI to create graphics. One of my favorite examples of usage of that was when Yegor went and created this amazing thread. Like everyone that wanted AI avatar done for them by him, he did it, and it turned out so amazing. And he didn't charge anyone. We were offering him money. He didn't want like any sats. He created this thread of hundreds of people, and suddenly hundreds of Bitcoiners had beautiful profile, graphic instead of just the one they created that's not as great. You're a musician, come to one of DJ Valerie's sets and be inspired, be connected. Maybe you can have your own set. So that's how I would approach it. And then if you are a developer already and you want to get into Bitcoin, um, approach me at any of the upcoming conferences, BTC Prague probably being the biggest one,
Mhm.
and we can talk specifics. The Up to a certain point, it's simple. It's just like you open a GitHub, everything you're doing every day, you have a commit, you have an issue, you have a pull request. 90% of the people shouldn't start their own project. They should join project in Bitcoin they like.
Mhm.
10% should start their own thing. Um, Contribute, connect with people you respect, and then once you have enough proof of work, come to a conference and talk about it. Give it a workshop. Conference organizers are always looking for, hey, I need a workshop on what you developed. Um, do that, and then yeah, you will be well off. And this is where we would really need to sit down, you and me, and I then need to ask you about specifics, because every person is special. I also love that saying, you're special just like everyone else. So yeah.
I
So
love
yeah.
it. You're so generous with your time and care, obviously, in mentoring other people and wanting to open your doors. I think that's really important. It can be intimidating to reach out to somebody, and you make it less intimidating. And I think that's really admirable. And I really appreciate you.
Well, I do wear a mask at conferences, so people said that's intimidating, but after they watch this, they will be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be. I should approach, and
Yeah, don't be intimidated by your favorite uncle for sure.
yeah.
He's huggable and lovable and wants to help everybody move peace, love, freedom, and Bitcoin forward. Hey, so guess what? So you were just talking about Tomer, and we are doing the Bitcoin for Peace Creator Summit. It's a virtual summit on May 25th, and I would love if you want to participate. I know you might be busy, but um, we're bringing over 40 people together on different panels, and we're going to talk
Yeah, I
about
saw that.
different use cases for how to grow your audience, how to use different tools inside of Bitcoin, how to get sponsorships, how to create, messaging that resonates with your audience, so that we can become better versions of ourselves. And then also, of course, new people who aren't Bitcoiners yet, it's like bring them into the fold and teach them like what's Noster, what Zaps, how do we set up our own wallet. So we really want to get people, um, just connected and united and helping them understand, how Bitcoin can get integrated into their workflow. And, how do you, what's value for value? A lot of people don't understand what that is. And so certain things I think are very, important for creators and healers and activists and whatnot. Yay! Hey, check you out. Yay! You're like
Yeah.
my promo guy here. Here, we'll put you up here.
Yeah, I'll be your promo guy, yeah, I'm
Do you wanna
rockstars
come?
are
Like, do you wanna come and be on a panel?
rockstars are pretty versatile, that's why everyone wants me in their team. I would love to, I told you, like, I actually flying to Europe, so
Okay,
I
okay.
can't make it, but you have an amazing lineup. Look, my man Adam Neely, I yeah, you should find a we should find a photo with me and, yeah, or Miss Costello. But you have an amazing lineup, yeah, Tip is a rock star. I
Dude,
always
I
tell
know.
her whenever she's done with her, stage, like the performance, I'm like, "Oh, I'm so jealous. I will never be that type of rock star." And
She's
then,
amazing. I mean, and see, that's the cool part, though. We all are our
yeah,
own unique rock stars, um, and I
yeah,
think that's really important. And I love it because, I teach personal development sometimes and do retreats and workshop type stuff and teach people meditation. But I created this process about designing your own code, like your love code. And there's 11 areas. It's kind of like a Bushido code or a warrior code, right? And just it's your code for living, but
shamanic code, yeah.
yeah, and you think about, like, when I go on stage, when if it's just Val going on stage, it's like, "Nah, who cares? Boring." But if it's DJ Valerie, the vibe goddess, it's like, okay, I can show up and be this character. I can be empowered. You saw at Pacific Bitcoin, I was a psychopath with my little outfit.
Oh my god. No, I think you just, you delivered as much, yeah, enrolled as much as you should have. So, yeah, I see, that's maybe you're so intense in a good way in a different field. Yeah. So,
I'm
but
definitely a fire intense kind of weirdo for sure. But like that's kind of the thing though. It's like when you step into your own identity in terms of being, a powerful, capable person, then you actually show up as that person instead of, you know, um, maybe being a little fearful or timid, and it's like your own permission slip to be that. And so you go into that.
Yeah, be who universe needs you to be, and it's great that you brought this up because everything I was saying, this is perfect. Everyone should actually come to this because it's also virtual.
Yeah,
Get connected with all these people because yeah, I just looked up Avi. I love Avi, and then obviously Tomer, my brother.
totally.
Vivian is there. Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
it's
it's gonna be really, really cool, and we're doing everything it's all value for value, so people are if they wanna make a donation, great. If you don't, that's okay too. Um,
yeah,
what we
but
want
can I? Is there like a ticket or uh it
Yeah,
is
registered, like, go to bitcoinforpeace.org/summit, like, it's on the screen right here, you can see it,
for peace.org/summit.
yep, and then there'll be a
And
registration. We're using Zaprite right now so that people can use, fiat if they wanna do their credit card or obviously yay, look at you.
there
You're
we
that
go. And
yay, look at
this is
that.
like if anyone came this far to the watching the stream, maybe they are allowed to see my email. So I'm
Oh
a
god.
register. Okay, and then it's like a donation, right?
Totally, and then so what we're doing, with the creators, we just are gonna cover costs, whatever the production costs are gonna look like, and then anything that's left over, we wanna split to all of the presenters' wallets in perpetuity, and we'll be chopping up the content so that if people wanna, make a
Yeah.
Zap or a
So
donation.
like if you were charging for tickets, like could $21 be like okay price for ticket?
Super
Or
generous, yep, I love it, yep,
would you
that's
do like $10 or 12?
I've had somebody so far give us 2 sats. So, I'll
Oh my
take 2 sats, I'll take 2,000,000 sats, we'll do whatever, like, whatever
Oh,
people think
let's
is
go.
fair
Well,
and
let's
reasonable.
let's do 10 tickets with 21. So this is like, yeah, uh, donating
Whoa! Oh my
for
god,
10
thank
people
you,
to join. Yeah,
rockstar, I love
yeah.
you.
Oh, there we go.
Oh my god,
Well,
yay!
yeah, it's not 2,000,000 sats, but
Oh my
yeah.
god, thank you so much, that
No,
is
no, this is for
amazing.
10 people watching this to join. Like now you have to join.
Oh my god, you're
So,
the best. I wish I could
yeah,
hug you. Oh.
well, the next conference, yeah. So, there we
Oh
go.
my god, I
Sending and
lo
this is also
oh
power of Bitcoin now. people will see how actually easy it is. So
It's so easy, right? It's just like
yeah.
pull it up and off you go, and there's your receipt. And it's how can we integrate, like, because what I want people to understand at this summit is like, what are all the different tools that are out there? Obviously, BTC Pay Server is a killer.
Zaprite is cool. I mean, Zaprite is easier for a lot of people because they don't need to bring up instance, and Parker and team and John, they're doing an amazing job. Will as well. So that's the thing is it's a rising tide. It doesn't need to be I'm also like people always call me like Bitcoin maxi or whatnot. I'm a Bitcoiner. If if you're using Bitcoin whatever way you're using it, more power to you. Obviously, try not to use it to inscribe like ugly photos into it. Yeah, like
Uh,
at least try to make like a good photos. And I you know, and I get that for a lot of people it's a power trip because they want to live forever. So they know Bitcoin blockchain will live forever. So they inscribe random dick butt and suddenly they're so important. Like, okay. But yeah, any tool that connects you with Bitcoin and you get to use it and do value for value with other people, it's great.
it is, and I think it's super important that we keep testing and playing around with all of these tools. I know, like, Pierre is gonna be on the one of the panels too and talking about Pay with Flash. Are you guys, like, with the Pay server, are you guys gonna start being able to do, subscriptions?
Yeah, there is a plugin coming up with that, but
Okay.
again, if Zaprite is working for you, great. A lot of people also use Geyser, right?
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, Mick will
for,
be there from Geyser.
there we go. So Mick, when you need to ask him, like, is he doing a panel? You can ask him, is he
Mhm.
biggest Rockstar fan? Because I think he's up there. Uh, but
He's the best dude.
yeah, but yeah, what they have raised so much money for various projects in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and yeah, speaking of war, there you go.
Yeah.
Sats are flowing, so that's what matters. And you see also there's so many people in Bitcoin that Bitcoin has done so much for us
Mhm.
that yeah, they're like I've considering how long I'm in Bitcoin, like I've met a lot of OGs. All those people want to do is just give back because they have so much, and I'm also lucky to be moving, yeah, in that direction. So yeah,
Totally. This was an interesting film too. This was at the film fest, the Death
Jessica is
Aesthetic.
amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's did you just see, like, that one, there's a guy, I think he was in Brooklyn, who just got sentenced to jail for putting together 3D printed guns?
Oh, I didn't see that latest one.
It was just yesterday, I think I saw, there
Oh,
was a gentleman, and he looked like he was just this nicest guy, and I'm like, "Seriously?" Um, I mean,
well,
obviously.
that's where again, this is where conflict comes in, and if you're in an environment where others can dominate you, they and they're political types, they will just try to dominate you. So I don't
Yeah.
know. We should figure out what to do. Should we bail out this guy or you know? See, but for me, it's really this is the trailer.
Mhm.
This is what's happening in New York on 22nd. So we're having a New York premiere of My Trust in You is Broken,
Oh,
the documentary
awesome.
that you saw.
Where's
Yeah,
it gonna
and
be?
so we're doing this in collaboration with PubKey, and
Yes.
this it will be very close to PubKey. So it's IFC Center. The only problem to everyone watching this podcast is like if you're watching it live, maybe you'll get a ticket. Yeah, 16, good. You will get a ticket. But anyone watching like replay on in like 2 days, I don't think there will be any tickets left. But you can come hang out with Uncle. I can play documentary for you on my laptop.
I love it, and it was so good. It's seriously, I'm so glad you guys did this and put it together. I think, There's just so much more. So I want to share one more thing too, because and then I would love for you to contribute to this. And obviously, I want every Bitcoiner to contribute to this project. Storytelling. We were talking earlier about how it's so important that we have different languages, different ways that we're understanding Bitcoin. Some people come to Bitcoin because its number go up. Some people come because its freedom go up. Some people go, for whatever the reasons are, right? Um, if we're just only consuming certain pieces of content, if we may not understand Bitcoin, right? And we may get turned off by it, because of all the FUD and all the bullshit that's out there. Um, and I think, do you remember Chicken Soup for the Soul? Did you
Chicken
ever?
soup for a soul? What's that?
So, Chicken Soup for the Soul is a a series of peer contributed stories that was, gosh, I want to say 30 some years ago. Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield started collecting these stories of people who went through troubled times, and here's how I got through it. So it's like, chicken soup is like a remedy to make you feel better, and they put this book together with all these stories of people who came through troubled times. And so it was very relatable for the everyday person, because they're like, oh, wow, I can relate to that because that happened to me. And okay, now I can get through this divorce, or I can get through this health conflict, or this financial thing, or whatever. Um, and then they magnified it and turned it into like chicken soup for the teenager's soul, or chicken soup for the CEO's soul, or chicken soup for
Nice.
the nurse's soul. So it became one of the best selling book series ever, because it was positive, it was motivational, but it was from people, like everyday people. And so I thought, well, why don't we do something like this for Bitcoiners? And, because most people are not, yeah, exactly. Um, Most people are not going to go to a Bitcoin conference. They're not even going to attend a Bitcoin meetup. They're not going to go to PubKey. They're not going to go to a film fest. So it's like, how can we bring
I mean, if Rockstar is there, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm such a big fan of Rockstar. I'll go there."
I will be there being a big fan of
Yeah.
you.
No, yeah, but what you're saying is we need these like projects that create an artifacts that people can consume at their own pace and their own time. Yeah.
And in their own, like from their own lens. And so Bitcoin for Peace, we're going to be, so if you go to bitcoinforpeace.org/story, I'm starting a Peaceful Money, Peaceful World series. And I want people who are Bitcoiners to contribute, whether it's an article, whether it's a poem, whether it's a song. Yep, that's it. Whether it's, there's Crazy Val.
I don't know. You keep going like crazy, this and that. And
No, no,
you
no,
look
it's all good.
perfectly normal. Like we feel alone in the world. It helps us here.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
so the intention of this project, is to bring together all of these different before and after stories of Bitcoin. Like, my life was this way. I used to be a coke addict or a gambler, or I escaped domestic violence using Bitcoin, or whatever it might be that our stories are. I think, if we keep sharing them and getting them out to these different audiences, then maybe new people are going to go, wow, that sounds like me. I want to go a little bit deeper and learn more about Bitcoin. So the goal is to create these collections of the stories, digitally or, in print. Again, whether it's a little video, whether it's a written story. And then we'll distribute them. And then, just like we want to do here with the summit, and then everybody gets splits after, we want to do splits in perpetuity to all the contributors to these stories. And because Chicken Soup for the Soul is great, but they give you $250 for contributing your story, and they literally sell millions of books. So
Well, I mean, honestly, this is much better than yeah, the alternative. Did you see this?
no, what is this? Oh yeah. Yes.
So yeah, the time to rage. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially yeah, it's for it's yeah targeted algorithms targeted at women because yeah, women are in general more agreeable than men.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, like I'm a woman. I want to say that publicly on this podcast. So,
There you go.
what do you think about that, DJ?
I
Am
think
I
you
a
can be
woman?
whatever your identity you want to be, Uncle Rockstar.
Yeah, I'll be Aunt Roxy. Like, we should bring Aunt Roxy. Okay, let's do the next one on Aunt Roxy. But my whole point is yeah, we need to build a better technology and better tools and better frameworks, and it's not always code. What
Yeah,
you said about, yeah, chicken soup for Bitcoiners, like it's beautiful, and I can't wait to see the results, because unlikely I will contribute with my stories. I do write like a lot, but I don't think I could deliver for that. Maybe
well,
for second edition or third edition. I will most like this podcast you're doing. I see it as a similar thing. So
yeah.
uh, I think I'll contribute in that way. Share my screen and show videos. Yeah.
I love it, and it's perfect, and that's the thing, there's no right or wrong or one way to contribute and share these stories and messages, and I think it's, you know, I remember when I was at the Bitcoin conference, like, I think 2 years ago in Miami, and
Mhm.
Greg Foss was up on stage. It was my first Bitcoin conference. I mean, I went
It's
to
all
Oslo
Mac.
Freedom Forum in
It's all Mac.
Miami. Yeah, but he was talking about Greg was talking about, just, like, use your voice. We all have something, to say and share and contribute on Earth, and don't, we're only here for a short period of time. Like, use your voice for good and don't be
Mm,
shy. And
well, uh, Greg is way more disagreeable than you and me, Val, right? So we're like, oh, we wish we could yell it as much as that, but then I don't want to be as wrong as Greg, and he's like plenty wrong, and then he goes through a lot of stuff I would just not go through, because mm, sure, we can say there is no right and or wrong way to do things, but there are better and worse ways to do it. And often when Greg yells, it's just like plain wrong, but he is pretending that he knows what he's doing, which is fine. He's successful. He doesn't need more, but I wouldn't advise it for new people. Maybe when you're like in your 60s and you made your fortune, yeah, you can yell off stage and think you're doing something, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I'm not condoning yelling. I'm more just his message was more of,
Yeah, yeah.
use your voice for good,
Yeah,
and
let's
everybody's
go.
got something to say. So that's something I
Agree with that.
appreciate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And okay, so yeah, so maybe one day, maybe in the second or third or fourth version, who knows, you'll contribute one of your stories of a before and after, because you've obviously got tons to share. Um, any
Yeah,
final thoughts for the audience? Yeah. Oh,
can
yeah.
I
Show that.
send in the meme?
Yeah, send it. Yes. Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can see what are my most popular memes. I mean,
Oh my
Cynthia, we're so back. Well, what is even the price of Bitcoin right now?
I have no clue. I never
But
look at
yeah,
the
me
price.
either. But oh, it's back to 65. Why is Cynthia tweeting this? But we are back. Like, she's such a queen.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
she's such a badass. If I ever got, like, a day job, I would wanna work for her, or you guys over at BTC Pay Server. Um
well, I listen, Cynthia first. I can, yeah, DM her and be like, hey, DJ Valerie Love.
I'll be
But
like, "Hey." Um,
maybe that's the thing. That's how we can close up this story.
okay.
Um, uh, this edition, because I can tell there will be, you're going to get all the great feedback on this episode, and then we're like, okay, bring Uncle back. But we can close with the story that's hopefully inspiring for others to join Bitcoin and hear this story. So, you know how Mayor Lewis, Parker Lewis, organizes all these Bitcoin Commons events?
Mhm.
Um, and at one of those events, they announced, well, they didn't announce, but you come there and there is Senator Cynthia Lummis present. And of
Wow.
course, it's a small setting. Of course, you're going to approach and say, hello, Senator. Like, thank you for what you're doing with Bitcoin, supporting it. She's very gracious and tolerates all of us coming and saying the same things. And she participates. So it was a great experience. And now, of course, 20 people have done that, like myself included. So I've approached like, hey, you're great, this and that. And what happens is that Michael Bitstein comes along and walks passes by, right, like Bitstein, he walks by, and you see Senator Lama is going with like, "Hey Michael, where are you?" So she's approaching him, and yeah, it was such a funny moment. Like I was trying not to laugh too obviously. I needed to go to the bathroom to like stop laughing, because she's like, "Oh, Michael, where are—" So get into Bitcoin. You will even have senators, approaching you and celebrating you and your work and Bitstein's work. Yeah, proof of work is amazing.
It is. It's so cool. And that's what I think it's a great equalizer too, and it's just like there's no hierarchy in Bitcoin. Like you can be a senator, you can be a janitor, but it doesn't matter. Like we're
It's
all
a
welcome here.
new hierarchy, and it's not a hierarchy, it's a structure. Uh,
Mm,
and it's a meritocracy, where we we're a part of growing trend, so we celebrate each other. We don't, most of us don't go and try to make you less. Like, we know that the more you are, all of us will benefit, and that includes, yeah, especially you, DJ Val, like you with all your work. Like, this podcast setup is great, actually.
thank
So
you.
glad I could have participated.
I'm so glad you participated and agreed to come on and share all of your juiciness and yumminess with all of us. And I can't wait to keep getting to know you and bring you back. I'll have you on regularly if you want to come back. We can always do catch ups and talk. I love talking with you.
Well, our next episode, we need to bring up that tweet of yours. You know which tweet I'm talking about. Okay, don't show me. Yeah, okay,
Don't
yeah,
tell anybody. That's
okay,
our secret.
okay.
It's our public secret.
Yeah, now let's see the promo materials for this episode. It will be fun. Yeah,
I don't blush often, but now I'm pink.
yeah. Okay.
All right, my brother. Thank you so, so much for joining and spending so much time and sharing everything and all the work you do for Bitcoin with BTC Pay Server and beyond. It's so much more. And I'm just so grateful that you're here and you're in my life and you're rocking Bitcoin.
Thank you, DJ Val.
Yay. All right. And thanks everybody else for tuning in. Make sure you guys follow Rockstar. You can either go to btcpayserver.org or you can go on X at R0ckstardev and follow my favorite Bitcoin uncle. Woohoo. All right, guys. Peace, love, and warm